finally taken the next step and started to put their hopes towards playoffs?
Well, we'll find out. We've certainly asked that question a plethora of times in the past, and so far it hasn't really resulted in a yes answer. Swain and Nidalee going to be the first two bans taken off the table, so Tigers do not want to deal with Expression on that Birdman in the top.
A bit surprised to see the ban, just again with 6-11 and the changes that Swain has undergone and how good Expression is on a champion like Aurelia. Now Smeb might be looking to reach for the Aurelia pick himself or have the perfect answer. He's a known cannon player, and that matchup has always been an interesting and swingy one between the two. The bans continue to come through, and Twisted Fate actually is the ban on blue side. We saw Longzhu blind pick Twisted Fate against ESC Ever. That's a very different idea, trying to blind pick it against ROX Tigers.
Yes, for sure. But still don't want to deal with it. So they take it off the board. Final ban will be Aurelia, so trying to take that out of the hands of Smeb. And Arise goes through, and they are going to snatch that one right up for themselves.
Heavy price, true flex pick between Smeb and Cry. Probably expecting it to be mid lane, but outside chance of top. But speaking of champions that are available, Swain, the sustain mage, taken out. But Vladimir, the other sustain mage, very much available. And Coco's aggression on this Vladimir pick was so impressive in Game 2 against Samsung. Ulted a low health Anivia, then Ghost flashed after Crown just to get a Q to finish it off. So I really like what he was doing with the pick. So probably going to be the mid lane Vlad from Coco.
Yep, and it looks like we might have our second Graves of the night here with Chaser as a long hover, but here we go.
The kryptonite of ROX Tigers.
We saw Haru pull this out, and it did wonders for him in CJ.
He's not going to play it.
I don't know, he might.
He doesn't have Ghost as a summoner spell.
That doesn't matter. He can always change it.
Oh, yes, Ghost now.
All right, it's gonna, nope. Oh. All right.
You're a troll.
Thank you, Chaser.
Chaser, you can see him smiling on your screen. I didn't expect that to be the Hecarim. The Ghost faked me out.
Cocky little.
The 1 second Yasuo was definitely a potential disaster, but they pivot over to Elise. A lot of magic damage, although, already with the first two picks.
It's not Mickey playing the Yasuo, so it's okay.
I mean, Mickey's Yasuo, some days Yasuo. Yasuo hasn't been doing a whole lot of winning in Champions.
No, he has not. But it will be Elise and Vladimir in the end of things. We can only expect that Vlad to go over to Coco, and it's going to be a very aggressive lock-in Elise in here for Peanut. Now, Karma picked up, so they have a triple flex going on. This could be a mid-Karma with a top Rise, or a mid-Rise with a support Karma. So could flip those around a little bit.
We're not going to see the Jax.
Oh, just lock it.
I'd love to see the Jax, especially the most famous Jax, most played champion of all time. Top 3 is the Jax, so certainly no stranger to the pick. Nami, Pure once again put in a great performance. I think Nami will certainly come through. I think it's worth leaving top lane for last pick, unless you want to go for a really risky AD carry like the Twitch specifically. But when you see these 3 champions from ROX, you're tempted to pick the Jhin, but either Jhin or Twitch certainly are food to an insect kick from the Lee Sin, so always an element of risk picking champions without the natural escapes against that Lee Sin.
Yeah, it looks like they might just go for the Lucian. Sivir also available, but they will lock that one up with the Nami to finish out our bot lane. So looking for that top, I guess we could say potential top given the Vladimir, but more than likely going to be the top lane there for Expression. This meta only makes sense to last pick for him. And now going over to ROX Tigers, you mentioned Kennen earlier on. Looks like we might be seeing it.
There's so much magic damage already that there's a big risk that Locket would really be lights out to some degree against ROX Tigers. I love watching Smeb on Kennen, don't get me wrong. It's one of my favorite champion picks in the league, but I don't know if this is the scenario for it. Physical damage would be great if they could find it, and certainly would fulfill that with the Fiora.
We're playing around with this idea. We did just see Duke play Fiora into Trundle, which is still available, and it didn't go so well.
So Smeb on almost exclusively Rumble duty in that series over CJ Entus in the last 2 games at least.
Yeah, we'll be locked in yet again, so going to be giving this one a shot, which does leave our Rise to the mid lane for Cry. Karma as support for Praise Ash.
So blind pick Rumble.
Question is, can he play it better than Bang?
Blind pick Rumble is risky. Aurelia is one of the best matchups, but it's banned, of course.
Gnar. Okay, so our second Gnar of the day as well. Going to be looking to kite him around as best as possible.
The build from the Gnar will be interesting. Hexdrinker, you'd have to think. I don't know about more Malmortius. But it could still try to be Black Cleaver and a Spectre's Cowl, but Rumble's very powerful after the latest round of buffs, but so much magic damage on the side of ROX. Only Ashe for the physical damage means that you get the locket fast enough. Of course, Lee Sin will do some decent base values, but Ashe the true damage dealer in that particular equation. Whereas on the side of Longzhu, Hemoplague, Gnar, be some really interesting engages from their side, and could just be a Black Cleaver off between Fury and Expression.
We're going to get one of those engages where Coco throws down to Hemoplague a second after Expression Gnar ulties everybody out of it.
Don't worry, they'll still die to the 10% bonus damage culling.
That's true. That very well could happen, but definitely going to have to keep our eyes on Peanut coming into this match with this Lee Sin. Definitely going to be looking to play pretty aggressively. Get rolling early on. We might see a more 80-centric build coming out from him, Warrior Enchantment, and perhaps you know, just take off from there, get some really heavy damage dealing items, maybe a Tiamat, something like that.
Right, on his staple of Ashe, the scaling from the ROX side, but as we said, a lot of magic damage. This is very similar to the comp that Longzhu played in Game 2. Let's see if Coco can go off on the Vladimir again, because he was the big carry in Game 2.
Yep. Well, a lot of people to keep our eyes on. We'll see how this game is going to develop. It's like we're going to go ahead and get straight into this first game. Longzhu versus ROX Tigers. We have a pause to kick things off for Game 1.
You told a bit of a fib there. You knew we weren't going straight into game.
Yeah, I just was hoping that they would get it taken care of before we got in. They are counting down now, so we will be getting back in. So we take a look at some of these fan signs. Papa Smithy is...
I love you too, son.
And he's just throwing up the Vape Nation at the same time. Very, very good. A thumbs up to those gentlemen in the audience. Oh, pretty divided crowd here.
Checking out some of the Keystone Masteries. Expected to see the fervor of battle on Gnar. Again, there's been definitely a movement towards this. Gnar was always one of the champions more likely to take it over something like a different mastery, just because Grasp of the Undying, not a melee champion.
Not maybe Strength of Ages, but still just going for that fervor to get the passive stacks off as quickly as possible.
Worth noting that top laners don't always see that many cannons, given how lane swaps and denials can go.
This is true.
Just like supports taking Strength of the Ages, it's a bit too risky.
If you double jungle, you'll get some of the HP that way.
True stuff.
You don't really want that to be your reliable strategy. We can see, though, we will have a bit of that going on at the moment.
Smap doesn't go for Thunderlords, which is an option on the Rumble. Went for the Deathfire Touch, so even more burn for things like the Equalizer. And honestly, Equalizer position, Naba, Rage, management. I feel like the top laners will have a big say in how teamfights go, because both of them have teamfight changing ultimates. It's just all about managing them and really setting them up well.
Smap just getting that Flame Spitter ready as the Krugs come up. We'll just start things off here with Peanut down on this bottom side of the map. We're going to have a mirrored take by Chaser and Expression, who are over at the Gromp. And it will just be, will just be the Gromp and Krugs taken away by both of the bot laners.
Should we see an invade stop one of these buff takes, but instead there's the mirror take, as we see the minions actually breaking pretty well. That's actually 2 melees that died, which means that Longzhu have to hold back. It's already level 2 for Prey.
Yep. Gets that one pretty early on.
Always awkward to be in the beta position against an Ashe, but that's what happens when you don't hit level 2 first.
Yep, and now Gorilla with his Karma is going to be able to sit really far forward and just chunk down Pure, who's already starting to nom on those biscuits.
Fun and interactive lane phase against level 1 Karma. trying to get owned.
Yep.
You're also seeing something different that now can happen with Rumble. We touched on it a couple times this week, but if you're new to a recent patch Rumble, it's worth noting that he now does full damage to minions. Used to be 50%. Used to be 50% against monsters as well. Then we saw the introduction of the Jungle Rumble from Score.
That lasted a little bit.
It was good fun for a little bit, but now with the cap taken off the minions, you can actually push as Rumble, which is something he could never do. Has a terrible last hitting animation, very, very slow wind up.
Yeah.
And in general, could get pushed in super easily unless he altered a wave, but now can push waves, can hang back, has a lot more options. And all the legacy Rumble players licked their lips when they saw the changes, and only Smeb has actually ventured onto the LCK stage.
Yep, definitely used to feel really bad when you had to rely on that E to last hit. Much more comfortable for him now.
Especially when they nerfed it to 35 damage, and it was like, I can't do this.
It's pretty much impossible to actually do this. See, they're just keeping Expression shoved up underneath that tower. Chaser not going to make his way down bot quite just yet. There's still a ward sitting in the river there for Smeb, so he will spot the Elise if she decides to roam down that way. Peanut gets spotted out by that ward on the ramp.
You will notice a Doran shield start for the Vladimir, even though he's against Ryze. And it's not so much about the autos, but of course most of Ryze's harass is the Q, and you do reduce damage from single target spells. The Overload was nerfed also recently, so it's going to be that much more sustained trades, so happy times for Coco.
Yeah, plus the passive regen on top of your transfusion, so going to be a pretty good spot.
Itemization for Vlad will be interesting. Because he was facing an Anivia, he went full Spirit Visage. Will we see a move away from that, dissenting and going back for the Proto Belt, something more aggressive, or will it still be the Spirit Visage? Doesn't have an exhaust, so maybe you do need to fully invest in the Spirit Visage to navigate some of the all-ins from Ryze.
See, so just going to be that Kindle Gem for the time being, get himself that CDR plus a tidbit of HP.
Means nothing at Kilios, it's always the Kindle Gem.
Yep. And of course it's just going to be Cry going for the Tear of the Goddess first.
Doesn't that fit pretty well?
Yeah, it does. He should stack passively faster.
And if he starts losing, he can just buy 5 tiers, and it's fully lore appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah, the more you lose with a tier in your inventory, the faster it should stack up.
It's a fair point.
Or if you're a Mumu, it should stack up very rapidly.
Sadly, W is a toggle, so crying doesn't actually give tier stacks. Riot plays.
Yeah. Feels bad.
I mean, if you have an Amumu with a tier in your team, it also feels pretty bad. Don't even try to justify it.
Nope, I had nothing. I was just going to say solo queue. That's all I got. Or dynamic queue.
I just call it Challenger when I'm talking about the top level now. I'm like, in the Challenger ladder, because calling it the solo queue ladder just... I think Twitch chat doesn't like that very much.
I don't think they like a lot of things
That's true. They're very strong-willed, though. I give them that. Expression doesn't give himself a chance to go for the bounce, so just takes a Flame Spitter for free.
Smeb lost, or missed both of those rockets, which could have been a little bit of a game changer had he been able to land those. Expression would have been chunked out pretty low. But not going to go for it quite just yet. And he will have a little bit of a CS lead. Expression going to get back about 3 here, but doesn't really have much of a position to try to deny. Smeb can just speed himself up with that scrap shield.
Does invest in Spectre's Cowl first. I imagine Phage will still be the item completion. Maybe this means no Hex Drinker, although again, against Rumble, Ryze, and the Karma, there is some validity in going for both.
Yeah, definitely could see that one coming through.
So get Black Cleaver and you kind of just run all over the Rumble, and there's not much you can do.
Yeah, shouldn't be the Frozen Mallet like we saw as the first item in that first matchup.
Feels like 2012 when you see Hextech Revolver on a Rumble, but obviously a very different item now.
Yep.
Protobelt's been Smeb's choice, which I think is interesting.
He likes fire a lot. Fury gonna have to dash away from that tether. Peanut comes up but doesn't fully commit, just goes straight back into the jungle. That red buff on the side of Longzhu's jungle is getting ready to respawn, so he's in a prime position to be able to take that one away in the next 45 seconds or so.
Now the moment that Peanut hits 6, and Prey as well, top lane is basically free kills all day, because you Ash Arrow into kick away from turret and into death on Probably Nami, but also likely Fury as well. So expect to see the pathing continue around the top side for Peanut. He is level 6.
They're both very squishy.
Ray is level 6 as well. So this is the part where you get the hell out of it.
Yep.
And this is smart of them. They realize, oh, I see a level 6. Pretty confident that Lee Sin's on our side of the jungle. If I'm here any longer, it's going to be a disaster.
Yep. Went back off Coco, starting to stretch a bit of a CS lead here, 74 to 57. Chaser's nearby, but Cry is just sitting underneath that tower with no mana, so opts to back off. Should have the Catalyst of Aeons coming in now. And Chaser realizes, well, my Raptors are gone.
Pings onto his red buff. They know exactly what's coming down. Chaser reinvades.
Oh, well, goes straight in, gets a cocoon onto Peanut, who can flash over the wall into this Rift Herald, kicks Chaser away. Red buff ticking. Does he flash in? Yes, he does. One more auto attack does it. And Chaser comes up with the first blood, so Peanut going a little too ham.
And Longzhu were just on top of the positioning and the pathing from the enemy jungle. Like, this must be research. They were so smart. Because Chaser, it was twofold going back into his jungle. He needed to provide cover for his duo lane that had been smart enough to recall instead of getting turret dive by a potential Lee Sin. A potential Lee Sin became very tangible, and obviously Sin, they get the kill, they steal away a buff. We see a teleport.
Oh yeah, though. Arrow comes out from Prey, and Smeb is here, throws down the equalizer, and Chaser gets burned out quite a bit. Fury having to back off, but here comes Cry, flashes straight onto the Elise, finds the kill. The bubble comes through from the Nami onto the Rise, and he does fall, but Fury is going to go down as well. Pure with really nowhere to go. Decides to save the flash. We'll hold on to that one. That dies for it, so I believe that was just a 3-for-1 in the end of things. So yeah, that's a pretty big loss there for Longzhu, and ROX get right back into the swing of things.
Yeah, just that extra element of greed going for the Gromp is what really cemented death for Chaser. It was a really nice teleport from Smeb. The minion wave was in a good spot in the bot side, so he's not going to lose his turret or anything close to that, especially after Spectre's Cow first item, and they look to try and get as many exit kills as possible, but never going to happen. Pure accepts his fate. 3-for-1, bit of CS over to Expression, but overall, an extended trade, pretty even, but slight advantage to the Tigers.
Yep. And just gotta wonder why you make that mistake. You just punish Peanut for being super greedy and moving forward into your jungle, and you do the exact same thing, but for a lesser objective with the Gromp compared to the red buff. So Longzhu still having some issues, it would seem, as far as their decision-making goes.
Yeah, not a massive penalty. It's only 300 gold behind at this present point. Now we finally see the lane swap actually enacted. We had 2v2 on the top lane. Now Smeb with Proto Belt feeling safe enough. Doesn't have flash, but Proto Belt probably enough to get him out of most bad situations.
Yep. He still has a pretty firm lead over Fury, as does Prey. 15 CS up, 17 for Smeb. So looking like he's doing pretty well for himself. Expression has been pretty much by himself on that bottom side for a while and is really catching up in the CS numbers. So that's going to be good for him. Is the Phage coming in? So Black Cleaver will be the first completed item by the look of things. Arrow's available, but they're not going to throw it out. Fury's already too far up the lane.
So they're going to commit multiple members. They want to take this turret and the laning phase in the top
Fury
side.
has the culling, so he's going to go ahead and throw that out, clear out the wave. Bray still gets a good amount of damage in. We'll whittle that down about 25%.
Coco's been really smart. He pushed out mid lane, then he walked towards top lane. He doesn't have teleport to answer, but goes top lane. Now he's committed to mid, and they'll return to pushing his turret at the top.
Yep. But if Cry wants to join his team up top there, he has no way to interrupt that teleport. So Coco would just be able to layer on a bit of damage. See that they're still looking to force their way in, get that Mantra shield out onto all the members of ROX up at this top side. They will be able to force out for the turret. Expression, though, is going to match this. He will get the solo gold and experience.
The hope for the ROX Tigers is taking this turret. They can swap back bottom, then have the duo advantage around Drake. It is an Infernal Drake as the first spawn. Don't get to say that very often.
No, we don't. We had all clouds pretty much for that first set other than the first game, where we actually had a pretty good roll of the dice.
True.
Triple Mountain into Infernal. But it would not be so for the next couple games.
It's in one competitive game with triple Infernal. I was pretty jazzed about that.
I think I've seen one as well.
As in the first 3 Drakes were Infernal. I was like, yeah.
Oh, well, speaking of first Drake, Longzhu are going to go ahead and start this one up. Gorilla's here. He fail wards twice. What?
You mad?
I'm done. I'll see you later.
You're tilted.
I'm out of here. Oh, that was really close. He almost made up for it.
See, you lull them into a false sense of security even though they don't know that you double fold.
Yeah, they don't know that you just messed up several times. Good God.
And that was actually a really fine timer for that being a good play. Because obviously you think, okay, collapse on Infernal Drake, that's fine. Smeb was about 30 seconds away from teleport, and he is a... Heard about Rumble. Rumble, famously always the champion, never wanted to opt into early dragon fights around just because he can burn you down with the equalizer and its high base values, but it just couldn't be there. So, fine line that Longzhu has walked, but sort of fine line they walked so well in the ultra late game battle against Samsung game 1. If you haven't caught that one after this series, go back and watch it. It was a real excellent late game tussle with so many objectives being contested but not necessarily fights around them, but both teams playing with respect, and Longzhu showing an acumen in the late game they've never done previously, which is the first thing that really suggests that extra development for the squad.
Yep. Well, now ROX pushing forward into this bottom side. We can see Coco's getting ready to roam down, and Chaser, just recalled, is hovering this way as well, but there's a ward in the river, so they will spot him out. They don't really have any form of engage down here other than the tidal wave, so ROX will stay safe for the time being. Expression
didn't have a rage bar or really a chance to go for any cool Nara flanks, so yeah, it was a bit of feigned aggression.
Yep, well, Sonic Wave connects on the Chaser, gets slowed up by that Ash W, but they don't want to go forward onto that. Be foolhardy to jump into the Elite, so she'll just cocoon you midair.
Let's calm down a little bit. Black Cleaver will soon be completed by Fury. He's about 100 gold away from having that. Still not sure that Expression will go straight for that Black Cleaver, as the team will already have one, but it does help his 1v1 matchup pretty significantly, so incentive is still there for him to build it.
Chaser, with getting that first blood's actually been doing a pretty good job as well of just keeping himself inched above Peanut as far as CS goes. Already has the Sightstone completed. Peanut's just got the Warrior Enchantment with a Giant spell, so going to be significantly further behind this Elise.
Ash Arrow sent mid.
Yeah, it does get sent mid. Isn't going to connect as it does. It finds Chaser. Can they jump on him though? He has the Repel available. Sonic Wave thrown out, but not going to go in for the Resonating Strike, and just no follow-up engage there from the side of ROX. They get a little bit of damage in onto Elise, but overall, nothing really going to come of it.
First time we've seen the Vladimir vs. Ryze matchup in the LCK, and you can see that Ryze is being pushed in as expected against Vladimir, who has so much ability to push with AoE after about level 10 or so, as he gets to put extra points into the Tides of Blood. So been able to push him in. Went Spirit Visage first, a very respectful build, but the fact that a Vladimir, or the fact that any champion can overextend against a Ryze and not be worried about dying to an all-in lets you know that a champ not taking exhaust who can push in, you'll take the fact that you build a Spirit Visage, slightly more defensive, but it allows you to just be that much more disrespectful than most champions can be against a Ryze.
Yeah, you can see right there in that trade, just barely taking any damage whatsoever, and he's just going to be able to sustain all that back. Gorilla trying to get a little aggressive onto Pure, will throw out the tether, but there's no one really to follow up. Peanut just trailing a little bit too far behind. He's going to opt to go for these wolves. Chaser's here. Smote away by Peanut, now moving over to this blue buff, just using it as an escape route. And the Elise can't arrive in time, will be able to take away the blue for herself. And now they have to pay some attention to this bottom side, because Prey's been whittling away at this.
Longzhu have bought earlier item spikes in basically every lane. You could argue in the mid lane the Spirit Visage is very defensive, but against Rod of Ages it has more immediate power. It's Yoma's Ghostblade versus Hurricane, so happy times for the Lucian as the trade's slightly over the side of Cry. And Expression has lots of combat effectiveness as well. Like the top lane's the only part you might descend as the turret is taken by ROX.
Yep.
Longzhu happy to fight in the immediate future.
Oh, well, Chaser waiting here. Throws out the cocoon, finds Peanut. Just going to shoot out the Q, try to get a little bit of damage in on him, but he's going to be quite all right. Still has that refillable potion in his inventory. Now Coco getting a little bit bold here. Gorilla is nearby as well. Hemoplay comes down. Chaser gets kicked away. They find Cry. Tidal Wave rolling through. He's really low, but they cannot solidify the kill. They get the flash down on the Ryze, however. Coco only had to use the Ghost.
That's right. Ghost Flash trade is excellent. Now only teleport available for Cry. Expression's going to rotate in. They want this out of mid lane turret.
Cocoon onto Peanut, getting a little bit of damage. Now Expression arriving, having that range. Is able to whittle down a bit on that turret. TP's coming in on the backside. However, this is going to be Cry and Smeb coming in. Throws out the equalizer. No one from Longzhu really standing in that one. Coco just sticking forward, trying to get the damage in onto Peanut. Expression gets taken low, but now gets the Meganar form. He can stick around, gets a big pop of the Tides of Blood onto Gorilla. They can't solidify the kill, and Prey's just sitting up here, just firing off this volley, trying to get some damage onto Coco. He's still too tanky. All in all, it's going to be teleports used, both of them by ROX, and they can't come up with a single kill.
And the summoner spell investment was much bigger from the ROX Tigers. Longzhu got a lot more than they gave, so they're going to be happy with that. Exactly.
That's all they used was heal.
The Ghost as well.
Okay, there was a little bit earlier, but yeah. In that last little scuffle, just going to be the heal from Fury, so definitely going to be really happy and satisfied with that trade.
I mean, whenever you have a teleport advantage and you didn't give up a double kill against a team with 2 TPs, you feel great. So they actually have more options at playing the map, and with Dragon spawning in a minute, that is really big for Longzhu.
Yep. See ROX pushing in. It's going to be another Infernal. So we will have 2 in a row. This is, I guess the game once these sets is just where we get the good drinks.
Smeb doesn't quite have Equalizer. Nara's top lane with teleport. Watch the Nara bar though. Only has Black Cleaver, so it's a very aggressive build. He needs to hit it
right now. Gorilla already getting chunked out. Expression goes in, has to make an R, but he can't find anybody. Whoa! Complete whiff. What an utterly bad Gnar ultimate. Coco, though, still makes up for it by finding Gorilla, but can Longzhu disengage? 4 or 5 more kills. The Cocoon lands on the Cry. He just disappears under the pressure there from Chaser. Smeb goes for it, finds one. Can he find another one? Coco getting chunked out. He gets finished off by Prey. That's going to be a double kill. Make that a triple as Fury gets caught. Expression going to be the only one limping out of here alive. And ROX Tigers come up in a huge way. They'll take down this mid tower and more than likely the Infernal Drake to boot.
Expression didn't look confident on the engage, whiffed it completely, and then Smeb was seconds away from the equalizer. Burned down 3, flashed for the Q as well. Protobot in tow. Really nice play from ROX. I mentioned it, if you go Black Cleaver and you want to team fight, you either hit the ult or you are just another squishy ranged AD in the front line. So watching the replay, you think when Longzhu gets the first kill that they're actually in a good spot, but this cooldown misses completely, whiffs it, just sweeps some dirt away. They get the first kill, but Smeb is just waiting on a cooldown that eventually will come up. So even though Longzhu tried the aggression, they funnel into the equalizer, and Smeb knows his power. Proto-Belt into overheating. Beautiful stuff from Smeb. That's a team fight win for ROX Tigers.
Yeah, a massive one at that. Infernal Drake over to them. Equalize the count, and now up in 3 kills and 2,500 gold. So still not a massive lead, but a lead at the end of the day. Chaser is able to take away that Scuttle Crab. Not going to get really caught out or take too much damage from that one. Now trying to get this blue buff. Peanut comes in, might have to smite it for himself, and he does. And Longzhu are looking for this top tier 1 tower, already down to half HP. The ROX is pushing up. They have that wave clear from the Karma and the Ash with Hurricane, so they should be able to hold on to this one. Actually, they're just going to take this up. They throw out the arrow. Doesn't matter, though. Doesn't dissuade them. Peanut's here. Can he make a big kick play happen? Throws out the Sonic Wave. It's not going to connect, and that's just going to be ROX having to back off.
Rumble's getting free pushing time in bot, but that's a good turret take by Longzhu. No realistic way for them to engage. The arrow was just purely to dissuade.
Yeah.
You look at someone like Smeb, though, 2 items, but two very powerful items.
Yeah, the Andre's done.
The Protobelt and the Leandri, so but the burn damage to be real for the equalizer. Good timer on the blue as well. Blue buff still not the biggest thing against the Vladimir comp.
You can see, though, Prey having a pretty good time right now on this Ash as staple champion. 4-0-3,
Look
up
gold
50 in CS just about. Yeah, he is 2,500 ahead of Fury right now. That's pretty detrimental for Longzhu, who want this Lucian to find that early power spike. It's just not happening. Only has the Yomu's completed, just now finding the Phage, or at least the 2 items for the Phage should have it on this back.
Very reminiscent of Pilot on the Jhin.
Yes.
In game 2 of the last series. When you go for this mid-game build and it's delayed, you find yourself in a hole.
Oh, well, that's going to be the equalizer thrown down for Smeb. Gets that Flame Spitter up, jumps forward with the Proto-Belt and Expression. It's just not long for this world. He gets taken down. Peanut finds the kill. And suddenly you got to be questioning this Gnar.
I think Nara in this meta is just so unreliable. If you make a play like Expression did, the cost is so high, and then it's so easy to navigate around the fact that, okay, now you never want to send Rumble 1v1 against the Nara, but you've got double teleport. Usually there's going to be Cry able to come and deal with him in the late game.
Well, think of the last buff that Nara received. I think it was just +3 AD.
He's not a weak champion, and there are scenarios where if you're an excellent Nara player, look at Marin, for example, Koro 1 in previous years, sure, go for the Nara when the matchup's decent, but there should be a better answer to Rumble than Nara.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but maybe the Aurelia.
Could have just tried Trundle.
Yeah, I think that probably would have been a bit more consistent.
It's not a fun matchup for the Trundle, but it's navigatable.
Yep. Well, Prey just going to be looking to take away this red buff. It is warded by Longzhu, and they are collapsing onto him. Expression coming in. Steals it away with the hop, and Prey taking a ton of damage. Has to throw out the arrow. The heal coming through, just trying to give him a little bit of movement speed. Expression actually knocks him away. The shield's there from Gorilla, but Coco comes around the backside and finishes him off. That's going to be 2 kills picked up here for ROX.
They get Peanut, could be Baron.
And AC down. Peanut has to run away from the culling, and Longzhu start up this Baron.
Oh, baby, the equalizer.
Yep, here we go. Smeb coming up, throws out the equalizer, perfectly placed. Is chunking away on that Baron. Longzhu all pretty low. They find Gorilla, they'll flash onto him with a Sanguine Bull. The Hemoblade will finish him off. Peanut jukes out the bubble, but it doesn't matter. Goes back in onto Expression with the Sonic Wave after the Dragon's Rage, but he just cannot find it. The members of Longzhu are quite low. They're going to have to back off and likely just, well, maybe not. I eat my words. Expression's just going to TP back in here. Smeb, far cry away from having that equalizer back up. It would take a miracle for him to be able to steal this one. He's just going to have to flash over the wall, and Longzhu establishing a firm lead. Rise is coming in off the backside of that teleport.
Oh,
and they're all bunched up in the pit. Cry looking for the play. Can he get the steal? It's not going to happen as Chaser confirms it. Can he even find an exit kill?
Ash is coming as well.
Likely. Just jumping over the walls. Fury waits for the dash. He gets out, and all of Longzhu will get out relatively unscathed. Have to blow a couple summoner spells, but they net the Baron in the end.
Man, Longzhu players on the Razor's Edge, but we'll track the fight first. This is what you can do as red buff, Black Cleaver Nari. Didn't have much love trying to get down the Rumble earlier, but they get the kill. The fact that he scoops Prey into open terrain means he gets the damage, and crucially, he knows that Vladimir will be there on the backside. They chunk out Peanut, but this Baron takes so long that the smart move, the measured move, the Jin Air move would have been to back away. Longzhu, they keep pursuing, they play on the Razor's Edge. The Baron stays leashed as they turn away this time because the equalizer is still leaving it going, and also Chaser takes most of his life, stopping the releash from happening. They kill Peanut, but it's still so risky to pull up. They eventually get the objective, but there was a very real world where Rise walked up, magic resist debuff on everyone from the Baron, got a triple kill, and ended the game for ROX Tigers in terms of the amount of momentum that would have given them. But so far so good for Longzhu, playing on the edge, but on the right side of it for now.
Yeah, well, they're playing on the enemy side of the jungle at the moment as they take away that blue buff. Fury will be able to confirm this. A very big Expression is now shoving into that tier 2 in the top side. Coco still applying pressure here as this Vladimir in the mid. Proved himself a very good lead. As is Prey, he's been the most effective member on the side of ROX so far with his 4-1-3 scoreline. But it's just not translating well the further we go into this game. Both teams only going to be separated by about 700, but that Baron buff with an Infernal Drake will allow for Longzhu to take a hell of a lot more.
And Coco's been so reinvigorated in some of the recent series. We saw that one game on Azir where he won a game with Azir, ended up being a lost series, but like, all right, Coco's Azir is finally back. The Jace, sadly, wasn't back just yet. But playing himself onto form, champions like Vladimir seem to really suit him. The meta seems to be shifting towards champions Coco's confident in playing. 3-1 and 2, so aggressive on the Vlad, and it's good to see old Coco back finally.
Yep. Definitely has been out of form for quite some time. So coming back to that makes a lot of people happy. I'd be happy if we could see the Jace again.
He's got a lot of friends, though, on the side of Longzhu that have struggled in 2016. Expression's had a pretty good year. Pure has had a pretty good year. Everyone else has struggled heavily, but they're all getting it on the same page at the same time, and the raw talent was always there to see for Longzhu.
Yep. It only took a split in 2 weeks, but finally
But it turned around so quickly, too. Like, no one saw the improvement coming, but Fury back in the lineup.
From 2 weeks ago to today, you would not expect that at all from Longzhu. Then again, they did look at their worst when they had Emperor on the team, so swapping in Fury definitely was a night and day transition.
I mean, the first series with Emperor was actually a step up.
His game 1 was really good.
Yeah, Fury had really struggled previous this season and again in the first series, but finally looks at home in Longzhu colors that he hasn't all year.
Yep. Well, still just 1,000 gold separating at 27.5 minutes. This is any team's game at the moment, especially really far forward. Gets kicked in underneath the tower.
Nice
damage
bounce
there. That's going to be the equalizer coming down, but he makes his way out with the bounce and flash. So he does stay safe, and the Ash arrow goes wide, does not connect. You can see the tier 2 goes down to the bottom side, so Longzhu just accruing a little bit more gold.
Getting flash out of Expression is actually very relevant, though. You almost always need to be able to reposition before the big Nara ultimate can be confirmed. Has gone for the Dead Man's Plate, which we don't see a lot of, but does help with that movement speed.
It didn't really help him in that last major engage, but so maybe he doesn't need to flash. Maybe he shouldn't flash.
Are you saying he's one of the famed mini-Nar players, like Amazing J always was told? Like he's much better in mini-Nar, I'm like, oh, so he's bad.
Yeah, so he's not good at the champion. It's like, I'm really good at Jason Melee.
Do you know who else you can build tank on and do a Nar impression? Teemo, and it's better. Teemo is better as a champion than just mini-Nar.
It's very
He's got a kit, it turns out. You can build Frozen Mantle and carry it. Just ask the Rain Man, he knows.
Really good at Nidalee and Cougar form. It's like, okay, you've got 50% of the champion mastered.
How's your Jace, by the way? Melee form or range form for you?
Range form. Yeah. I'm the sniper.
That's
I'm the
true.
sniper. I'm the sniper in
You're
all
the
games.
Widowmaker.
I'm the Widowmaker. I'm the range Jace. I don't know, snipers for some reason I gravitate toward that. TF2, I always played sniper. Even, you know, Call of Duty, the classic ones, Car 98K back in COD 2.
Sure. Feels like Longzhu have had the momentum, but you pointed it out, the gold lead certainly isn't massive. And Expression, another whiff on the ultimate could really start to put a dent in Longzhu's snowball. That has been the last 5 to 10 minutes have been almost purely Longzhu. Aegis completed, but not quite the locket, so still the potential for the equalizer to take over a fight.
Still insanely close here. You see the blasting wand in the inventory for Cry, more than likely. Oh, it looks like he could. Oh wait, no, it doesn't build out of that anymore. I was going to say he could go for the Abyssal Scepter, but probably going to be in the inventory for the Void Staff, which could definitely help him out a lot in these big trades and help turn the tide for ROX. You can see just this tier 2 in the mid getting whittled down slowly yet surely as Coco is just allowed to sit so far forward with the safety of that secondary pool.
We want to keep the pressure on and contest buffs, but looks like red buff will go over to Prey as intended.
All of the slow.
Only flash down on the map, a Peanut and Expression, and honestly they're two of the biggest playmakers, so they're pretty relevant flashes to be down.
Yeah. Prey is getting ready to flame Horizon Fury in a little bit here. About 30 CS out of that mark. Blue buff up. ROX should be able to confirm this one with relative ease. They do so.
But it's good to see Longzhu contesting all of these buffs. Some teams will get a big lead and then somehow the enemy teams get their own blue, get their own red. So far, Longzhu have exact timers, although it's a little bit less relevant this world, but are at least moving around the map as they should. Just not actually managing to push anything, so it's been much of a lull since the last bit of action.
They're at least poking their head in at some of these objectives. Not really in much of a position to go for it, but looks like the action will stagnate for a little bit. So we just wait for this Baron to spawn in about 5 seconds. Vision control very much in the hands of Longzhu. We just look at that top side of the map. It's lit up like a Christmas tree for these guys.
3 pinks sticking in the river around Baron. Lets you know they have almost supreme control of that area. Chain vest on the back for Expression. Probably going to be Guardian Angel next, if I was to be a betting man. Yep, there's the Negatron to basically confirm that. At least 2, so for as much power early as possible. The same build Chaser went for. Rylai's into the Guardian Angel just to be allowed to dive aplenty.
We see Cry going down to the bot side to manage his wave, get it pushing back against Longzhu. Coco going to be doing the same up in the top.
Notable that Cry hasn't gone for Guardian Angel as a 3rd item, so even though he has a DPS top lane, he's gone for the higher damage Rise build, means he has to be a bit more defensive in fights.
Yeah, should be the GA next for that Negatron. But Coco's actually just sticking around up top, keeping everyone pushing. Longzhu just tiptoeing around the Baron, looking for an opening. They know that Cry has that TP available, so they're not going to turn off that. Dragon now spawning in 5 seconds. Looks like that might just be the next pickup for these guys.
What will be the final Drake?
I think it's a... Wait, no. It's a Cloud, yep. I knew it.
Oh.
Hooray.
Yay.
So we go double Infernal, double Cloud, and then on to the Elder. But that will be 3 dragons picked up for Longzhu, so a good amount of extra damage if they can pick up the Elder Dragon in its spawn.
Does give them some acquisition range for
135 extra.
Some of these spells as well, so perhaps Expression will be able to actually connect with a big Gnar ultimate. We're waiting for a big consequential one, but they're winning regardless, so
yeah.
Happy at least from Expression perspective.
This is still going pretty well for ROX because the gold lead hasn't stretched at all in these last, I don't know, 10 minutes really. So they are keeping up. Very much in way of Prey with his massive CS lead over top of Fury.
Yeah, 2,500 or just over 2,000 for Vladimir in the mid lane though, so he's at 3.5 items himself. And Vladimir running at Ashe. Ashe doesn't have a lot of options against a Vladimir, so you can use that gold to trivialize the enemy's carry. That's happy times for the Vlad.
Very true. Prey has the QSS in the inventory now, as well as that grievous wounds for himself. So he's going to be trying to whittle down Coco as best as he can, stop him from regenning. Fury still wildly behind in the build. Looks like he's been splitting off a little bit instead of just going for the last Whisper. Has now picked up the Zeal to go for the rapid fire cannon. So he's a little bit all over the place at the moment.
Outside chance of a Phantom Dance up. You're right. Probably going to be rapid fire for Evolution.
That's true. Could be but
probably going to have.
We see it every now and then with him, but more so going to be that rapid fire cannon.
A lot of people are going to be hitting him like the Rise and the Rumble, so a little bit reduced damage would be nice, but there's arguments for both, and you're right. Rapid fire cannon is the pickup. Guardian Angels start to come out. First one to pick one up is Gnar. Not that consequential though. Gnar basically is going to hit the ult, then walk around auto-attacking people.
Good consistent damage.
Not so much.
Oh,
Oh, Expression doesn't sniff out the peanuts there.
Peanut coming around the side, trying to find Fury. Just dashes away, uses the Youmu's, nicely timed. Will get himself just out of range of that Sonic Wave.
Doesn't have to respect Flash because he's smart enough to just pop the Youmu's. Good play from Fury. He was always a Lucian main, I'd have to say. As much of a competitive player can be. Played a lot of Lucian in his career.
Okay, well, Chaser finds Gorilla, gets a little bit of damage on him off the backside of that cocoon, but can't really do much else. It's really just a lot of pitter-pattering back and forth here on the map.
It ended up being the Abyssal Scepter for Chaser, so dissented in the build a little bit. Gone for the magic penetration there instead. Let's help his teammates.
Going up top, finding Smeb. He's doing a good amount of damage to that Neon Freeze. Coco's just trying to find a way out. Has to flash the wall in the end.
I wanted to feign that he had a lot of backup, but actually it was ROX who had all the backup. So with the cavalry coming, that's one summoner down for Coco at least.
Fury just using Youmu's for some reason, sprinting around in the mid side.
Watch the Gnar bar from Expression. He's now in Mega Gnar form, or at least able to pop it.
There it is. So he's already transformed, so once this expires, this is going to be a good time for ROX to pull the trigger on something, and they do. They throw out the arrow, gets onto Coco, goes straight into the Sanguine Pool. Equalizer not really going to connect on too many people. And here comes the Expression. 3 men, knocks backward, no walls to be found, but he knocks 2 of them in with the stun. Almost gets popped from that Guardian Angel. You can see a big return to the HP from Coco, getting bumped up by that ebb and flow as well. Several members low on the side of Longzhu. ROX just trying to force out this Baron. Moving over to this one, Smeb, whittled down quite low. They go ahead and start it up. It's going to be a very risky play.
So fast, though.
Yeah, they are burning this thing down like crazy, especially trying to get up there. Get that Gnar bar built back up, but he just can't really get in range to throw out the Qs. Finds a little bit, but still a far cry away from turning into Mega yet again.
Cooldown reduction to the Gnar ultimate will most likely be up the next time he transforms. Has Guardian Angel, so gets the big wall stun. Right, very difficult to pull off.
See that they're just going to push in, take down this tier 2. So very nicely played by Longzhu, moving around, finding their objectives, and they still come out on top of that play. So ROX initiate a fight, don't find anything for it.
The timing was almost perfect. It was just as the Rage Bar was starting to come down on the Gnar ultimate. Would have gone back into mini Gnar form and then just basically being teleported to its death in the middle of the fight. He only connects with the first part of the damage from the Gnar ultimate and scoops 3 into terrain. So once again, a bit of a whiff from the side of Expression, but not a consequential one this time.
Very true. All in all, just going to be that tower gain in the mid side, the tier 2 for Longzhu. Still sticking to about 3,000 gold separating these teams, so insanely close match all the same.
Really trying to farm back as much CS as possible. Still very much in the hole compared to his opposing number and Prey on this Ashe. It's a cheaper build, but that's about it.
Yeah. Coco sticking pretty far ahead at the moment, has that needlessly large rod in the inventory. See where he wants to go with that one. Probably just going to be the Rabbiden's Death Gap, if I had to take a guess.
Feels like ROX have been less assertive than usual in starting fights. This team was always great at finding initiation from every role, whether it was Prey on Ashe. There was a Nocturne game that was very memorable from Peanut.
Yeah, especially Gorilla. Just hasn't been able to do a whole lot. Peanut will be able to take away that red buff with the Smite.
Karma, a very different type of champion.
Oh, okay.
Wow, Protobelt Flash.
It's going to be flash for flash there, so Chaser's down, Smebs as well. And now ROX pinging on to the tier 2 in the top side, but they know that Longzhu have this fast track on the Elder Drake, so they have to back off. Looks like they might try to trade this one out for the Baron. This is a 3-buff Elder Drake going over to Longzhu, though.
People would rate the Baron stronger in this position. If it was multiple Infernals, I think you'd take the Elder Drake. This is actually pretty much a line, but I give the slight advantage to Baron. Equalizer sent out to check.
Well, they do take away the Elder, and the Baron does go over to ROX, so now they're going to have those empowered recalls.
Big consideration between these buffs is the tight window for Elder Drakes. 1.5 minute buff.
True.
You usually have to back after taking it to either purchase or regen up. And the ROX will have, of course, the much faster recalls, as you mentioned, with the empowered recall. So you can kite out this buff and then use the Baron. Certainly win the heads-up trade. So interesting. We've seen this a couple of times this week. I'd give the slight advantage to ROX this game.
We'll see how it develops. The 135 extra damage from having those 3 dragon buffs is certainly not negligible.
You just track it. It's already at 40% duration, so 60% left. And if you just go enter lanes, then I think you do lose the trade compared to...
Yeah, if they grouped and they actually made a push with this, it could net them something, but not making use of that now 12% increased AD and AP.
No, just walking through the mid lane.
Well, it looks like both of these teams pretty much have the same idea. Let's just avoid each other until the buffs are gone.
I mean, the big thing for ROX is that it's a bit like having a Gnar Rage Bar and a whole team. You just wait 1.5 minutes, and then you have so much more power with your buff compared to the enemy.
Yep. Well, Longzhu are starting to group up in this top side, might be looking to go for this tier 2 tower while they still have this buff available to them. About 3/4 of the way off at the moment, so they don't have very long to pull the trigger. They're going to go ahead and use the culling. He's that extra damage. He is doing some work on a Gorilla. Arrow comes out, finds Coco, but he's still going to be pretty safe. The wave clear from ROX is quite strong, what with this Rise and Ashe with a Hurricane.
Buff is about to wear off from the Elder Drake for Longzhu.
Yep. They have to try to get through these Baron-empowered minions that are going to be sticking around for quite some time still. For ROX Tigers, trying to get them up to that turret, but the wave's just collapsing before he can even get close. So Longzhu now buff gone. They have to back off.
And they just weren't playing the map very convincingly. They only have a single teleport, but they could have had Gnar in a different lane, building up Rage and pushing, because actually the slow push for ROX is winning in bot side. Longzhu showed excellent wave control during the majority of that series 2 days ago against Samsung, but not been focusing on it too much. They do fake out and take this race, but might actually see an extended race because ROX aren't backing from mid lane.
Yeah, they're backing off now, but they already get some damage in onto this tower. We can see these things just being destroyed. Kuso lands on the Peanut, but they can't follow up too heavily. Prey sticking around with the Baron-empowered minions, will be working down that tier 2 on the top side, but they lose an inhibitor for it.
ROX have to keep chasing to allow Prey time.
he can certainly burn through that turret quite quickly, especially looking for the engagement to get flashed away. He's going to lose that Mega Gnar. Tether not going to connect. Prey finds the mid.
He might get more.
He might be looking for more. They're going to try to recall, but ROX is just going to keep pinching in onto them, trying to deny this one. Expansion going to go ahead, use the teleport, but they interrupt him. He can't go back. It's going to be just Prey sitting on the Nexus Towers with the Baron empowered minions. He finds one of them, and ROX disengaging, trying to keep away from Longzhu as long as they can. Looks like the recall will come through from Fury. Can he do enough? TP being used by Smeb. They're just going to try to finish this one right here at 42
They're going to do it.
It's already exposed. Fury goes down. ROX Tigers beautifully played. Deny the backs from Longzhu and take them down with the back door from Prey and the TP from Smeb. Wow, what a way for that game to end.
The Tigers outfought Longzhu. They waited out the buff, and then they set up this scenario. And you could see Longzhu were all at sea. The excellent shot calling they showed in their last series was entirely absent, and ROX outthought Longzhu. In large part, they were outplayed by them for big parts of that particular game, but they outthought them when it mattered, and the veteran status, it really counted for ROX Tigers.
Wow, what a way for that game to end. ROX continuously fighting on the back foot, trying to find a way in, couldn't get past that wall that Longzhu just set up for themselves. And they said, you know what, we won't try to kill you, we'll just stop you. And Prey just shoves down the mid lane and ends it with a little bit of help from Smeb.
I mean, the back foot was actually a big story because the 4-man unit in mid that wanted to disengage couldn't from that top side because of the Karma speed. We didn't see the decisive engage from Gorilla, but just having the Karma, ensuring that there was no way for Longzhu to actually back off far enough to channel a recall, let alone a teleport, counted the most. And this is one of those games where damage numbers, they really didn't count for too much. They were very even on the side of Longzhu, but it wasn't about the damage to champions, the damage to turrets. Now that showed you the true victor.
Wow, I suppose a bit of a misspoken phrase there from me. That was not a backdoor.
No.
That was very much
down the front door.
Kicking down the front door and just taking everything that you want. Breaking and entering there from the side of Prey and Smeb. But wow, what a way for that one to go down, and now Longzhu kind of feel pretty disheartened after that. ROX Tigers, looks on their faces feeling pretty good. Need to come back in here, look for that 2-0 finish, show that they are still a very concise and definitive team in their play.
Magnifying glass on Longzhu. Can they get over the potential tilt of a loss like that?
Well, we'll find out when we come back for Game 2, back in just a few minutes.